Welcome to the Empath for Autism podcast, where connection, understanding, and community come together. I'm Leslie Williams, Board President of Empath for Autism, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our very first episode. At Empath, we believe every individual on the autism spectrum deserves to be seen, supported, and celebrated. This podcast was created to share stories, provide resources, and foster a meaningful conversation that inspire, educate, and connect our community. Whether you're a parent, caregiver, educator, self-advocate, or simply someone who wants to learn more, we're so glad that you're here. Today, we're honored to welcome our very first guest, Sadie Everett, Director of the Regional Autism Advisory Council at the University of Cincinnati IDD Education Center. Sadie, thank you so much for being here and helping us launch this exciting new chapter. We're so glad that you're here. To start, I'd love for our listeners to get to know you a little better. Can you share a little bit about your role as Director of the Regional Autism Advisory Council at the University of Cincinnati and what first inspired your passion for supporting the autism community?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. I can't believe I'm the first guest on your inaugural podcast.
I know.
So my journey started probably when I was an elementary school teacher, and I was just a general ed teacher, but I worked really well with the intervention specialists. So it just happened to be that my room became the room where I had a lot of kids that needed extra attention, extra support. So from there, I was a teacher for about 10 years and had a few kids in between there and took some time off, went back to teaching, and then long story short, I started adjuncting at the University of Cincinnati, and I taught special education 1001, so intro to special ed. From there, I got connected with the IDD Education Center and began supporting our marketing, our outreach, our fundraising efforts, that kind of thing. And then, we can get into what the different programs are, but just a couple of years ago, we acquired RAC, the Regional Autism Advisory Council, and I was named the director, and it has been an honor to be a part of this network because it started 25 years ago to bring together stakeholders in the community to share resources, collaborate, and to address challenges in the region for autism. And what I try to do is foster that connection and opportunities to provide state-of-the-art education, training, and again, just addressing those challenges in the community and delivering on some of that.
Well, first of all, the one thing I just want to say is that it was very important for me to have Sadie on as soon as we met, because we met just a couple weeks ago, right? And we're sitting there at the coffee shop, and you were speaking to me about everything that you do, and I was like, oh, light bulb, we need to actually have her on, because right now with everything, it's the end of the school year, families are transitioning, they've got their kids that are aging out of high school, and then they're wondering what's next. And I was telling you, when I was at the Newport Aquarium and we were having our fish hours, we were down there for the family sensory hours, I met a family that had a senior in high school who was going to be graduating, and I was like, oh, well, what's he going to do now? And they're like, we have no idea. No clue whatsoever, but they've been researching and talking to so many people about what they're going to do with their son, because they want to make sure that he has the best life he can possibly have, that he's thriving. But after 18, it's like it kind of just drops off. The resources do. But when I met you, I'm like, this is a great opportunity, and I wish I would have met you beforehand so that I could send this family to you to talk about it. So what are some of the programs then that you guys offer?
Yeah, it's so interesting to me how families are somewhat taken care of during that school age time. And I don't know if I was reading something recently or just listening to something, but it's when it goes from entitlement to eligibility. You're entitled to these services as in the school age years, and then as soon as you hit adulthood, it becomes about eligibility, and that is so different. Those are two different worlds. So it is very hard to navigate. However, there are amazing organizations and programs out there, and I am very proud to be part of the IDD Education Center at UC. And we have 3 service programs, one for high school transition, we have a college age program, and we have an adult day program for adults with more complex support needs related to autism. And I can go into a little
please
bit. Okay.
do. Yes.
So our high school transition program, we partner with about 16 districts in the area to provide transition services in the form of pre-apprenticeship pathways. So we have developed pre-apprenticeship pathways in IT, computer science, pre-engineering, hospitality. We are developing a lab tech pre-apprenticeship and also an advanced manufacturing pre-apprenticeship.
Oh, wow.
Because what we are trying to address is the labor shortage in the community, in the state, related to technical jobs. And we're also addressing the lack of education for these students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Some of these students have never been exposed to STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And we are providing that pathway for them.
And that's such a shame, actually, because a lot of these kids excel in that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I can speak for Jagger, and he does.
Yes, absolutely. So we're offering this opportunity to students to achieve competencies in these pre-apprenticeship pathways, and that gives them a springboard to either pursue an apprenticeship in that field, to try out a job, to try something else out, but it's really intentional and meaningful. So that is our high school transition program. Students come to campus 1 day a week. We also have an individual or independent programming option where students come, which is a very small program. We can only serve about 4 or 5 students in that program, where they come to campus 4 days a week. And then we also have summer programming as well. And that is 3 days a week for 6 weeks. And it is, I believe now it's all a STEM camp, but they also get to do fun things like go to the rec center and eat on campus, which that's what every kid wants to do.
Right.
So,
well, how many people do you allow in in your programs, like for learning to be a mechanic or anything like that?
Great question. So in our high school programming, we can serve around 60 to 70 students each semester. Okay. And that's about 10 to 15 students each day. So that's probably our capacity. We want to switch gears and talk about our college program, which is called the Transition and Access Pathways, or TAP. It's an inclusive post-secondary program, one of 360 in the nation. If I don't say this, I need to say this so that everybody knows. Check out thinkcollege.net. That is the hub of all of these inclusive post-secondary programs and a way to get started in your search. If your child
Did we write that down? Did we write that down right there?
thinkcollege.net.
All right.
It is the most amazing resource. And so TAP is one of these. There's 8 in Ohio, and there's a lot of different support models in these programs, but TAP is pretty low support. But the students have a lot of support, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how does that? I mean, we can go back to that later, but I just wanted to make sure that I keep that top of mind.
Absolutely. So our students live in dorms. They do not live with coaches. They live with another TAP student. They navigate campus on their own. They manage their medications on their own. They do have specialized courses, but they also take UC electives related to their career paths. And their career path is totally individualized, and then, but they are UC students. They do everything that they can on campus, go to games, check out clubs, you name it. They are college students. We have 37 students in that program right now. Wow. 6 are graduating, and we are enrolling, I think, another 12 next fall. So.
Now, are these kids that are graduating, are they going out into the world with a job already?
They are.
Okay.
Yes.
So you help with job placement and
yes.
stuff? Okay.
Yes. I mean, that is one of the biggest outcomes of TAP is employment and independent living. So I don't have the statistics right off the top of my head, but I do know that the statistics for employment, if you go through an inclusive post-secondary program, you're going to have a higher chance of living independently and having competitive employment. So these programs are designed to get you ready for adulthood.
Yes.
And it's incredible. So yeah.
And then you were also saying that it teaches you also like living skills. They have somebody there to like help teach just basic living skills, right?
Yep, that's a huge part of it. So the specialized courses are related to all those big skills development areas like executive functioning, daily living skills, building healthy relationships, sexual health. But it's an incredible, these are, incredible programs. Other programs in the nation, like we have a low support program, but there are other programs that might fit other people's needs where maybe they do live on campus with a coach, or maybe they don't live on campus and they just attend during the day. So there's just a lot of variation into these inclusive post-secondary programs that, which is amazing because the whole point of this is you can go to college. That is an option. College is an option. So,
and that's what so many parents don't even think about.
Right.
They don't think that their child could do it. They don't see their children making it that far. How are they ever going to live outside the home?
And that needs to change.
Yes, it really does. I agree with that so much.
And also because college is expensive.
Yeah.
And if you want to plan for college, you have to start saving money and figuring all of the financial pieces out too. So
a lot of families just have no idea where to start.
Right.
So if I'm a family that has a child that's on the spectrum and I know that they might need a little bit of help, but they can totally function outside of the home, like what are the steps that I would take as a family, like looking into something like that? How soon should I start looking into it?
I would say, I think transition planning is starting. There is a trend to start it early as like third or fourth grade.
Okay.
Start talking about college, start talking about jobs, start, just exploring different options. Truly though, if your child is interested in college and they have an IEP, set a goal for that.
Okay.
That's important. Like making sure that,
smart.
That middle school and high school are going to start building those skills. Volunteering, making sure, as they're in high school, do they go to a friend's to sleep over?
Yeah.
Do they go to the grandparents to sleep over? Just getting out of the house and out of those regular routines.
Yeah.
That's really important. It's hard for parents to do that. It's hard for a parent, for typical children.
Yeah,
but
to think about like just the future in that perspective, though, and an IEP. I know that when I used to go to the IEP meetings, I would not even think about college for JAG. I'm only thinking about next year. Are we meeting his goals? What can we do for next year? And then I'm not thinking ahead like that at all.
Yeah.
But that's so smart to think about that in the back of your head. Like, is this something that my child wants to do, and how can we tee them up so that they can be successful?
Absolutely. And I think that it is hard. It is hard to think of the future.
Yeah.
Life is hard, and you're doing everything you can to get through that day. But that is, if people are listening and thinking about the future is so important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Then that cliff isn't as steep.
Well, and that's one thing, like just, with general education right now, like, Jagger he's in a normal classroom situation, but the normal classroom situation isn't necessarily for him, right? Like, I think that he would do better if he were already at this point, like learning a trade, because I know he says he wants to go to college, and we're okay with that. Yeah. But I want him to do whatever he wants to do because he'll be successful in whatever. But I know, like, starting now to get him geared up for something like that wouldn't be such a bad thing. Right?
Oh,
so
great.
It's like I wish that schools would look at like just a typical situation for education. Like, how can we morph that into like children now that are on the spectrum that have these special interests, that have these interests in, like, taking to like move them forward so they are more prepared for college. Because right now, a lot of families aren't even thinking that way. Right. But it's so great that saying this, and families are hearing it right now, that they can put that in their head and they can start planting that seed with their support teams at their schools and move them towards those goals. Absolutely. So very cool.
Yeah.
So what about the summer programs then that you guys have?
Yeah, so that is part of our high school programming, and it started as just really kind of like a career internship exploration. Students would come to campus and have some curriculum around vocational skills development, and then try out different jobs around campus. But now, because our center has really taken the initiative to put STEM at the forefront of a lot of our employment efforts, that is it's a STEM camp, and we received some grant funding, different funding from the state to make this camp happen, and it was at one point called STEM Access for All, and basically what it is students access curriculum to develop spatial thinking. They participate in different design challenges. They try out different jobs around campus that have to do with IT, engineering, that kind of thing. And then, again, the fun stuff, going to the rec center and having lunch at campus.
Which is all important because it's all part of the process. It's all part of everyday life.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that the future now belongs to those who are neurodivergent because they can think in a way that typical people cannot.
Yeah.
And so I have to believe that that's true. And programs like these, which you're offering, are so important to these kids because they can focus for longer. They can do the things that are not being taken away by AI right now.
Right.
So it's so important that you're there and you have these programs that are in place that can foster those kind of strengths.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what kind of things do they do on campus? What is all part of the STEM?
So we have a new internship, which is really cool, with accessibility resources on campus. And basically what they're doing is, deleting I don't even know what this is. I'm not an IT person, but but deleting the software on different computers and hard drives, or again, I'm making all of these words up, and just
all kinds of things.
all kinds of things. I have no idea.
No, that's
you can delete that part.
No way, we can't delete that. It's all real here. That's why you have to use a teleprompter sometimes too, Sadie.
Right. And then other things that they've done is learning how to use 3D printers. This has been a really cool initiative. We partnered with May We Help. Do you know about May We Help?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Huge fan.
Love
them, yes.
Huge fans of May We Help. So our students developed adaptive buttons for remote control toys and that kind of thing, so that kids who needed a bigger button or a different type of button to play with a toy. So our students did the 3D printing for that. Wow. And then they hosted this really fun, it was kind of like Santa's workshop, it was this toy building, adaptive building event, and we worked with May We Help and also Enable UC, which is a student organization on campus, where they also are using 3D printers and other engineering techniques to modify different equipment to help people with disabilities. So.
Oh my gosh, very cool, very needed.
I know.
And I love May We Help. They do a lot of great things for the community.
Yes.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
So going back though to the student style situation, they live in a dorm. And so tell us what that's all about.
So they, freshman and sophomore year, they live in a dorm that's suite style. So that means 2 live in one room and 2 live in another room, and they have a bathroom in between. And then they have access to the dining halls and all of that good stuff. Then when they are in a junior and senior, they live in apartment style living, which is just like the dorm next door. And they afford to an apartment, but they have a living room and kitchen, and where all of that learning can really take place. And we have a social worker on staff that works with the students in the dorm, and they talk about following a cleaning schedule. They talk about conflict resolution.
Yeah.
They talk about all of the things that happen when you are living in a new place with new people and not having the skills to navigate it. And our staff helps them do that, which is really cool.
That is incredible. I love that. Yeah. See, that's so nice. That'd be nice for families to know that there is staff there to help out in the event that there's an issue. Absolutely. It's not like they're all on their own.
No.
Yeah.
I know, and I mean, I am a parent, so I understand the fears, and I've seen the fear on parents' faces where they want to go to TAP, but they're going to live at,
right. Once they see it, once they know that they're going to be totally fine, there's support's there.
You have to be a risk taker a little bit, to be in these programs sometimes. You have to take that risk. So
Well, tell us some of the success stories, though. There has to be so many.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so one success story, her name is Brennan Eve, and she is, let's see, she graduated it was in one of the COVID years, 2021. She started an internship at the University of Cincinnati Police Department.
Oh, wow.
As a clerk, and it just evolved into, we're going to hire Brennan. And so Brennan is still working there, and she is just a star over there. But one thing I would definitely say is when she was 5 years old, her parents have this letter, either that, I think they wrote it, but they had a conversation with 5-year-old Brennan, and 5-year-old Brennan said, I'm going to college. Okay, and think about that. If she graduated in 2021, that was probably in 2020-ish, and where a lot of these programs didn't exist yet. So they were a real pioneer family in this space, and they delivered on that dream for Brennan. And here she is working on campus and thriving, and they love her. She's great at her job, all of the things. So
See, so that's what I'm going back to what you were saying. You have to be a little bit of a risk taker.
You do.
Fortune favors the bold, they say, right?
They had no idea about these. I mean,
that's right.
A lot of families don't know about these programs, but really in 2020, there were probably only a handful. So
and it's just like these programs keep growing because there's more and more, with 1 in 31 children being diagnosed with autism now.
Right.
1 in 31, that's a lot. So it's like there's more and more people that are out there and that need these kind of services, that need these kind of programs. So it's like, I just want to thank you so much for coming on here and talking to us about this, because a lot of people had no idea, and before I met you, I had no idea.
Right.
So it's very important what you're talking about today. Is there any other programs that you want to discuss?
So our adult day program is called Impact Innovation, and that program is about 10 years old, and it was designed for adults with more complex support needs related to communication, behavior, sensory needs. And it is on campus. It is, I would say, if not 100%, 98%, 98 to 100% community integrated. These are adults who really cannot access your typical day program because of the way that we staff it. There is a lot of one-on-one and one-on-two, so that people can be successful and independent, as independent as possible in whatever they're accessing in the community, and everybody can be safe.
Okay. What are the age ranges?
So 22 is the youngest.
Okay.
We do have some people getting up into their 40s. We do say that we have said that this program is lifelong, but we're not sure how practical that is because I haven't talked about this. Our staff, they're in their 20s, so sometimes we're like, how practical is a 20-year-old supporting a 40-year-old in there as a direct support staff? So we have some ideas about that. So we're not really sure where that program will go. The other piece to Impact Innovation is the wait list.
I was going to ask you.
Our waiting pool. We have over 80 people on that waiting pool because it's just one of these programs that does not exist anywhere else. So expansion is something we talk about often, and we're not really sure if expanding on UC's campus makes sense. Maybe expanding into individuals' communities make more sense, kind of offering that community support so that people can explore their own community. So we're kind of fleshing some of all of that out, but we understand that adult programming is a huge need, and especially for people with more complex support needs. And we're working on it. Is all I can say. We're working on it, and we hear you, and we know, and we know it's hard.
And one day at a time. How do these families, like once they do get in, like once they're off the waiting pool and they're in, like how can they? What's the? I guess paying for it. How do the families go about paying for it?
So it's waiver funded.
Okay.
And then we
That's what I was wondering.
Yes. Waiver funded, and we fundraise the gap that's needed to provide the support and operations for the program.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And like you were saying, it's so needed because it's like once kids get out of high school, then what? That's
Right.
where it really falls off. And so, yeah, like we would love to help support at some point, like, teaming up and working together to raise funds for you and help you because, as Jagger gets older, he would need these support systems too, So I love this. I love everything that you're doing. Are these all the programs that you guys have or is there more?
Yeah, well, and then I didn't talk too much about RAC, but RAC is a membership program. So different stakeholders in the community support the financial piece of this program, basically to have a leader in the region promoting and fostering this need for collaboration in our community. So something I'm doing with RAC right now, I started a community of practice called Bright Futures. And the intention of Bright Futures is to kind of follow a collective impact framework where bringing, again, different stakeholders in the community together to find some alignment on either, again, not exactly sure, I literally had like one meeting, but I think in my mind, it's like if we need to support more people, if we need to provide quality services for more people, how can we do that?
Right.
And that's coming together and finding some type of alignment and working towards that to push the needle on positive change in the community. So, that's it. Just
no big deal.
Yeah, no big
nothing.
deal.
Just trying to change the world over
just
here.
trying to change the world. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty confident that you're going to get it. I mean, there's so many. Listen, the need is there. It's like it's just a matter of getting the word out because you just started this idea. You just had the one meeting. So like, how can we help like push that along? But just talking about it, that starts the conversation. It'll snowball, and then you'll have it all figured out. And one day at a time.
Right.
One day at a time, Sadie.
Exactly.
One life at a time.
Yeah.
I love it. Is there anything that we can do, like from the autism or Empath for Autism perspective, like how we can help push this for you?
I think
what we can do. Because I'd love to
Yeah.
continue like this conversation
Me too.
because this is such a need.
Me too. I think connection and collaboration is everything. I mean, let's get out of our silos. Let's stay connected. Let's go golfing.
Let's go golfing. Absolutely. With margaritas.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just want to say, whenever we put this out on Facebook,
Yeah.
that we were going to be having this podcast with you. I mean, and I was telling you this earlier, everybody was like, oh my God, Sadie Everett, she's an icon. She's a legend. We love Sadie. And I'm like, I love Sadie too. I can't wait to talk to you more.
I love you guys.
So this is so great. Like, thank you so much for being here and talking to us today and letting us know all the things. And we look forward to hearing more from you. So we're going to be putting together like a list of everything that she was saying as far as with thinkcollege.net. Is that what it was? I remembered.
Yeah.
The thinkcollege.net and everything like on the page and on the podcast. And if there's anything else, can we give the information out so that
absolutely.
people can contact, if families want to contact you
Oh,
directly?
please.
Would
Yes.
that be okay?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
That's awesome, Sadie. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for everything you've done and for being here and spending your time with us today.
Well, thanks for everything you're doing. in the
Appreciate
community.
you. Appreciate you.
too.
Cheers. Where's your coffee?
Here it
Here, we got a cheers. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.